Before we begin the video, if you haven't yet, come on down and join my Discord server. Link is down in the description. Hey guys, welcome back for my Season 15 ranking updates. In this video, what we're going to do is go back to all of the previous ranking videos I made over the years and update them with entries from Seabound. We'll be doing 8 different updates in this video, starting off with ranking the intros. This season's intro is very similar to the Islands in the sense that it is kind of slower paced, and also it doesn't feature the whip. That being said, the composers are just as good with intro music as proven by the Oni trilogy, and this one too. This music is definitely slower paced, more peaceful sounding, but I love that they incorporated Wojira's motif at the end. It definitely adds an ominous note, but I really love the screens. They look pretty good. They definitely capture that sea vibe, especially. I love the second screen. It's definitely my favorite. As for the recaps, not the best. I don't really have anything to say I haven't said in previous videos. In general, Wildberry recaps just aren't as good. But this one goes towards the bottom of my list. I do like this intro. I feel every intro except, sorry, Season 11's is good. Since the last video, I've moved Rebooted down a few spots. Rebooted's intro isn't bad. It's just very frantic. I don't like how they combine all the ninja introductions. And also the techno whip isn't the best. So yeah, fast pace is okay, but when it's too fast paced, that's definitely a problem. Next up, ranking the villains. This season's main antagonist is Prince Kalmar. And let's just say he's not the most complex or fascinating character, but he's fun. He's got this great voice, a great design. You just enjoy seeing this character on screen. And well, yeah, I think his on-screen presence is great. I love his dialogue. I think overall it's written very well. But this is the kind of character you really grow to hate, right? If you thought Ruby was bad, well, this guy kills his dad on screen. He treats his brother like garbage. He's kind of racist. He discriminates against people who aren't of the royal blood. Also, he's willing to destroy Merlopia. Kalmar isn't super original or creative. He's a very typical cartoon villain. But it just goes to show that the execution, the way things are done in the final version, really make all the difference. And I feel like he was kind of a villain that pushed the show back to darker storytelling, at least for Ninjago standards. Kalmar is definitely the best villain of Wildberry Ninjago. He goes in 8th place right below Pythor. And these two are very similar villains. They both awaken a serpent, get devoured by it, become king. And I feel like Pythor is a bit better just because we've seen more of him. And the rest of the list is the same. Garbodon is the best, Omega is the worst. Moving on now to motives. Why does Kalmar do what he does? Why does he awaken Wojira? Well, he does so because he believes humans are inferior. And he also believes a wrong was committed in history, and that the first Medusa Master never should have inhabited Ninjago. The idea of an aquatic villain who wants revenge against the surface world, we've seen that before. I believe we saw that in Aquaman. So yeah, not the most original, but his plans are great. His obsession with Wojira and wanting to unleash her is great. But when it comes to his motives, well, sometimes people can just be terrible people, racists, and there isn't really an explanation. So it definitely feels like, it's not unrealistic. I'm glad they avoided doing something like, oh, the humans killed his mom, or oh, they polluted the sea. That just would have been very generic. So I feel like it's good that we got a character who was just bad, and that's kind of it. At the same time, though, is that the most original? Definitely not. Once again, Kalmar will go right under Pythor. Their plans may be the same, but Pythor is definitely guided more by revenge, whereas Kalmar is guided by blind hatred towards humans. I feel like Pythors are a bit more fleshed out because we know more about the history of the Serpentine and their suffering, but still, Kalmars are good, just not the most original. Next up, soundtracks. Take a listen to Prince Kalmar's theme music. Overall, great soundtrack. It's got this kind of formal feeling. I think the fast-paced element is really nice. Also, when it's played in the lower octaves, it sounds especially sinister, and it's played like that shortly before he kills his dad in episode 6. Yeah, just a great track, and while we're here, I'm not going to put this one on the list, but I also just really want to appreciate Wojira's soundtrack. Here it is. This one is incredible. It just feels so chaotic. It gives off the feeling of impending doom, especially as you hear the volume increase. And that one was introduced back at the island. Very good stuff from the composers. So yeah, here is the list of villain themes. As you see, Kalmar's in the middle. Underneath the Skull Sorcerer, above the Hands of Time. Pretty much every soundtrack or motif here is great. Chet and Vex's are very simple, so I mean, yeah, the rest of them, awesome. And lastly, for villain subcategories, we're going to discuss backstories. Kalmar's backstory is told entirely through Benthamar's lenses. Episode 8 may mainly be about him, but we also learn about Kalmar too. And the main idea with him is he's always been obsessed with Wojira, even from a young age, and also he treats his brother poorly. Aside from that, though, we don't really know too much about his upbringing. The king congratulates him on his studies, so he was presumably educated. But yeah, we don't really know too much about him. Again, this episode is mainly about Benthamar, so you can't really blame them. His backstory, though, is pretty basic. They don't add too much that we didn't already know. Really just that he was horrible to Benthamar. His backstory, though, definitely not bad, although he is towards the bottom of this list, above Ched, below Acronix, and Crux. It's really just that his backstory doesn't add too much to his character. And we gotta remember, he isn't the main character of this episode, Bentho is. So I didn't really feel like this backstory was bad for him. I don't think he really had to have more of a backstory. That being said, though, is it as interesting as some others? Probably not. Next up, though, ranking the premieres. This season's premiere, A Big Splash, is great. I feel like it lays excellent groundwork for the season in numerous ways. It shows that something is wrong with Nia's powers, but it also establishes that she is not very close with her parents. This episode also advances the vegetable plot, which is truly some next level storytelling for Ninjago. I really love that they showed us Misdemeanor, and they showed us more of this story. I think that was an excellent surprise. There's also a bit of backstory in this episode. I like the introduction of Wojira and the explanation of water and wind. Just a really nice introductory lore, and this episode goes in 4th place, easily the best Wild Grey premiere, and also just generally one of the better season premieres. My favorite by far still the season 4 premiere, absolute perfection, and pretty much Infamous and below is bad. Shintaro to Surge is okay, and everything else is good. Anyways, finales, Turn of the Tide is so good. Easily the best part is Nia's goodbye. It was so emotional. It was awesome that they brought consequences back to the series. Nia versus Wojira was not my favorite, but it was still pretty good. I generally prefer hand-to-hand fights like Cole versus Skull Sorcerer. And I also love the various 1v1s with Kalmar. First, it's Jay, his emotion is so good. And then there's Benthamar, who finally renounces Kalmar as his brother. A great conclusion to his story, which was otherwise pretty weak. Overall, really phenomenal finale. This one goes in 5th place. Below Curse World, Way Back, Corridor, and Titanium. These episodes definitely all benefit from being 22 minutes as opposed to 11. Season 2's finale has gone below Green Destiny since the last video. Really just, I guess, realizing that Season 2's finale is overrated. For a while, I overrated it myself. And so this brings us to the big question, how does Seabound rank compared to the other seasons? Well, in short, I think Seabound is a fantastic season. It has a really good story. It has a great finale and consequences. I love the focus on Nia. I feel like she has several different good stories in this season, such as her relationship with her mother and the development of her powers. We talked a lot about Kalmar today. He's really cool. Wojira is nice too. There's a lot of backstory in this season. Backstory that really changes how you understand the world of Ninjago. It picks up on past storylines such as Rei and Maya, and of course from the island. It also sets up future stories such as the Vegito story, and whatever comes next for Nia. It's a great season. This season ranks in my top 5, in 5th place, below Possession, and above Skybound. Why I feel it's worse than Possession? Well, Seabound's middle is definitely a bit weaker. Possession doesn't really have this issue. And, well, as for why it's better than Skybound, Skybound definitely has more bad episodes than this season has. Skybound's first 2 episodes are pretty weak. This season also got compared a lot to Master of the Mountain. I feel this one is better, has a better ending, and also it doesn't really have any bad episodes, whereas Season 13, I think, definitely does, such as Dungeon Party and the Mertessa one. And that is the end of this video, and probably my last Season 15 video for some time. I hope you guys have enjoyed these videos. It was fun to cover such an excellent season. Thank you for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone and everyone you know. Share your thoughts on this video, and feel free to share your own seasons list below. And I'll see you guys next time.